morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. So, the winter in New York has arrived. The winter in New York has arrived. it's like it's November. This is how I know because the heat in our building is on, and that means that the winter is here. It's hot in here. It's cold outside, but that means the end of the year is here, and that means that a lot of people are want to finish up, start, do things, to start the New Year's fresh. So today I'm not going to discuss any immigration specifics, but I want to make a huge announcement for us. Cohen and Tucker is now Cohen, Tucker, and Ada's PC. We're growing. We have merged with another very reputable, very old immigration firm, Ada's Law Group. It's been in business for over 45 years. They have a team that's as big as ours, so we're essentially doubling in team. You will now have the advantage of 5 attorneys, 5 paralegals and support staff. Your every need will be met. We are going to be going through a transition period, and eventually we'll end up here in downtown, but at a much bigger office that can accommodate both people. We're very excited about this. This is a great fit. They have the same work ethic, they work hard, they love their clients, they're responsive, they're online. So we will be one blended family that's going to be able to do even more for even more people. The period of transition is going to be for about 3 months. We're hoping to be in the new space at the end of January. And of course, right away, we will update all social media, all profiles. And we have already started sending out emails with merger announcements in them. But for each individual client, nothing really is going to change because the paralegal that you've been working for will continue to be the paralegal you're working for. The attorney you've been talking to will continue to be the attorney that you're talking to, with one minor change is that Mr. Ades from Ades Law Group has now retired, just like Mr. Cohen and Mr. Tucker did. But the team of young, vibrant, very knowledgeable, very good, very friendly attorneys is here to walk you through every single step to make sure you're comfortable and happy, and that we get the best outcome for your case that we can. While the space is being built out, we will all remain in the office where we are now at 32 Broadway. Of course, construction is an unpredictable business. We're hoping to be in maybe first week of January, but just to be safe, I'm saying the end of January, right? But in terms of phones, both phone numbers are active and alive. All emails, all faxes, everything else stays exactly the same. It's just that we're growing, and we're actually very, very excited about that. I know people will have questions and, email us, call us, let us know through social media and stuff, and we will answer it for you. We have already updated most of social media, but we're working on the transition period, and we will be rolling out more and more announcements. And, when you Google us, you'll be able to see the new name. The new name will appear on letterheads and so on and so forth. But Cohen and Tucker remains intact, continue to work, no interruptions, full force ahead. I've had conversations with all three partners, and it's not easy for someone who was in a business for 45 years to choose who the successor will be. So we're very proud that we're the ones that Mr. Adis has chosen after 45 years of practice, and we are going to continue the tradition of excellent work, and hopefully continue to grow. So that's that. That's my major announcement for today. In terms of, I know people are interested in immigration reform and so on and so forth. In terms of immigration reform, there are a few things that are trying to be pulled through the Congress, and if they are successful, I think they will be limited to people who are here on DACA, which is Dreamers, and to people who are here on temporary protective status. So I have very serious doubts that a general, like Reagan-style reform that affected millions of people is going to come into play anytime soon. But the Biden administration continues to do what it can under its umbrella to help as many people as they can. And just to recap, what we have now is that they have changed the ICE priorities, or they are arresting people or detaining people in a very targeted way. There are no mass sweeps at places of work. They're switching priorities from enforcement against the worker to enforcement against the employer. That's major. The motions to reopen prior deportation cases is back. That means anybody who has a deportation case should talk to an attorney to see if the case can now be moved forward. What is next? Stays of removal are being granted. A stay of removal is when you have an actual deportation order, and let's say you're showing up to ICE to check in once, twice a year, or sometimes multiple times a year. And technically, if you have a motion to reopen pending, and if you have a 212 waiver pending, you do not have an immediate protection against deportation. So if the ICE really wanted to, they can detain and deport you. So while people are waiting for some of those things, we also file stays of removal, which are usually granted for a year, or while, for example, the application is pending, which allows you protection from deportation while you're waiting for that next step to come to fruition. So that's that. Prosecutorial discretion is back, which allows the Department of Homeland Security attorneys to review each and every case to decide whether they want to move forward with the removal proceedings or not. And we have been successful in essentially protecting a large amount of people who were facing deportation from deportation because of this new policy. There are strict requirements that DHS wants us to submit. It's a big packet of things depending on your individual case. So there are things that have significantly changed for a lot of our people, but there are, and I want to repeat, there's no major immigration sweeping reform, because people continue to ask me, I went here and here and they told me you could do this, this and the other. No, there's nothing that is earth shifting for, let's say, tens of millions of people, but there are cases where there are things that we could do. Unfortunately, very often there are people who call me for whom there is nothing that is available now. And if that is the case for you, I want you not to despair. I know those news are hard, but that doesn't mean that there's never going to be anything available, because as I have mentioned before, from what I see, about every 10 years, something happens that allows for a substantial amount of people to get some sort of relief. There was the Reagan amnesty in 2000s, early 2000s. There was the the Clinton era immigration reform that created 245Is, and millions of people have benefited from that. And then Obama has created the waivers, which allowed a lot of people who either crossed the border or have used other people's identities or a combination of certain things to allow to seek forgiveness from the government and move forward in their case. We have, hundreds of those. And, those people were prevented from doing anything. Some of them came in the 90s and early 90s, mid 90s, and they were not able to do anything for essentially 2 decades. And then something came up and they were able to get legal status in the US. So although the news, when I say there's nothing I can do for you now, are hard, that doesn't mean that they are prevalent for the rest of your life. So I want you to remember that. And before I finish, there's one more note that I wanted to make. This happens every single week. People go oftentimes to like preparers, notarios. They're called differently in different languages, different cultures, and under the guise of promising a work permit, 99% of the time those people end up with fraudulent VAWA petitions, where essentially the person preparing the document gets you that work authorization, but that work authorization is a part of your saying that your spouse, who's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, or your parent or your child have abused you. And a lot of the times the spouses don't exist, or everything is good in the relationship, or the spouse was never a U.S. citizen, or the spouse is an undocumented person. And that can create very harsh situations. We have several people who are in removal proceedings who ended up in front of immigration judge as a result of falling victim to these fraudulent schemes, right? You have to be vigilant. The responsibility is also on you. Before you sign a document, ask what it is that I'm signing. And if a person is unable to explain to you in simple terms what you're signing, or if you've been here for 20 years, never had a social, never had a work authorization, and all of a sudden a person says, I could get it for you. You need to question things, right? You need to ask questions. Sometimes things that are good to be true are just that, things that are too good to be true. And sometimes the answer is around the corner, but because you'll take that step, or you'll fall prey to, a fraud that can make your case so complicated that sometimes there's no resolution to it for decades on end, right? So I just want you to be vigilant, to always check who you're going to ask questions, and we don't get offended. You know what you're signing here. Here's a form. You're signing a form that allows me to represent you, or you're signing a form that is a petition for your child or your parent, or you're signing a form that allows me to get your immigration records from the court. You know what you're signing, right? If you want it translated into a different language, that could be arranged as well. The people who can help you usually have nothing to hide. So if you ask a question, what it is that I'm signing, they're able to answer you right then and there. So just stay vigilant and ask questions. And I hope everybody is going to have a very warm and cozy first very cold weekend. I will not be here next Thursday. I'm sorry about that. Wendy's going to do something interesting. Maybe let us know what you want to hear about. Maybe she'll expand on O1, or maybe some news are gonna come out. We will announce it early next week. By next week, I will not be here on Thursday. It'll be Wendy Barlow. For now, I just want to say that we're very happy and we're working very hard to make this transition as smooth as possible for everyone who works with us, for all of our clients whom we love so much, for everyone involved. So if you have any concerns or questions, we're an open door. Give us a call and we will reach out back to you. Thank you so much for watching us. I appreciate all the views on YouTube and comments, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.